Hello, everybody. Welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode is another Ask Me Anything. Guys, please send in your questions. Give me a thumbs up. Let me know that everything is loud and clear, and let's have another amazing episode. All right, guys, I'm going to be kicking it off with first question. Let's talk. I prefer to talk about fighting fitness first, and then we can talk about absolutely anything. But I know you crazy kids out there, you like your controversial topics. I'm going to look into the chat now and try to find something. Is Bruce Lee's knowledge above today's MMA knowledge? That's from JB19. I would tell you, look, the guy's a brilliant man. I'm a big believer Bruce Lee was a very brilliant man. He went from traditional martial arts to Western boxing. That makes total sense to me. He did like grappling. Gene LaBelle, who I've met, and he's passed away, but I've met him in the flesh, and he says that Bruce Lee was very interested in grappling. However, because it doesn't go well on the screen, because don't forget, obviously, he was a mega star, superstar movie star. He wanted moves that he could learn that would be wow on the screen, right? And there was some grappling. If you guys saw Enter the Dragon and all that stuff, there was some like armbar action. There was some grappling. He was into grappling as well, but he's like, it's not Hollywood enough. It's not good enough for Hollywood. People are more into the striking, the the nunchucks. It was just more screen friendly, but he had a respect and understanding for grappling. Now, in his book, Jeet Kune Do, you look at the grappling in his book, a lot of it is inspired by Gene LaBelle. It's not the most sophisticated grappling. It was basic grappling, especially for that time. It was good and basic at that time. Now, of course, in Brazil and in Japan, the grappling was far better, far superior, but he had no exposure to that. He had no exposure to Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu yet. But he's seen judo, and he'd seen the parterre, the newaza, the dedu, and of course he had access to Gene LaBelle, which was a great grappler in his own right. So I really do believe he was a brilliant man. I've listened to his books, his quotes. He's a brilliant, brilliant man. Don't forget, he also had a bachelor's in philosophy. He was an incredible thinker, okay? Bruce Lee was an incredible thinker. Guys, don't forget to use promo code GET55 off and get 55 off anything on jujiclub.com. I'm going to take this big giant promo off. And guys, please do make sure to punch in the promo code, because once you don't punch it in, I can't do anything about it. Okay, it's done. Do you think Foreman could have beaten Tyson in his prime? I believe so. That's from Water. That is a tough question, man. Tyson versus Foreman. Wow. If you look at Foreman when he beat Smoking Joe Frazier, he just annihilated him. It was scary. And Smoking Joe was the Tyson of his day in the golden era, who beat Mike Tyson. So if I had to pick George Foreman in his prime versus Mike Tyson in his prime, ooh, I know it's not going to be a popular answer, but I think I would go with George Foreman. Now, of course, anybody can win that fight. That's a fight where, you got literally the biggest hitters ever in history of boxing. But because he defeated Smoking Joe so handedly, I think George Foreman could beat Mike Tyson. But then again, I know it's not going to be a popular pick, but I think it's very, very, very more likely. I would say it's like a 51-49 type deal. Because here's the thing, okay? In my opinion, Mike Tyson was great in the first 4 rounds, but if he didn't knock you out in 4 rounds, if he didn't get it done in 5, he wasn't knocking you out, and then he would kind of like fade in the later rounds, okay? Foreman, he's going to last more than 4 rounds with Mike. That's how I see it. He's too smart. He's too slick. He also hits hard. It would be very dangerous for Mike Tyson to try to overly pressure him. He had like that stretched arm style, where he kind of smothers you. I think it would have been a question of styles, of course, but George Foreman, guys, for those of you who don't remember, he was one of the biggest hitters of all time. Just as strong, in my opinion, as Mike. Coach, do you think Ali was the greatest boxer ever? That's from JB. Yes, I think he was the best pound-for-pound boxer in history. Why? He beat George Foreman. He beat Smoking Joe. I mean, he was in the golden era of boxing, where the heavyweight boxing was the best ever. I don't think there was a better era ever. And he rose to the top, and he was the champion. Now, With that said, it could have easily been George Foreman. For those of you who've never seen the Rumble in the Jungle, George Foreman versus Muhammad Ali, you have to go watch that fight. If I remember correctly, it was in Zaire, Africa. Well, of course, it was in Africa, but I'm thinking it was Zaire. The Rumble in the Jungle. It was one of the greatest fights in history. Where they they coined the term rope-a-dope. Muhammad Ali coined the term rope-a-dope. You know, they say in boxing, you should never be up against the ropes. You should never be up against the ropes. And guess what? Muhammad Ali was up against the ropes for the entire fight. Almost the entire fight. He was just getting killed by Foreman. Just getting killed. And every time George would hit him, he would be like, is that all you got, George? Is that all you got? He would egg George Foreman on. Now, you have to remember, George Foreman was a tall, muscular, giant fridge that hit like Mike Tyson. And he was just destroying Ali with shots. And Ali later said he thought he was close to death. He was going to die in the ring. Muhammad Ali thought he was going to die in the ring. Now Ali is putting on a poker face and egging George on to hit him more. Hit me more. That's all you got. That's all you got. You could see that he's talking in the fight. Ali, they used to call Ali the lip. He wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't shut up before the fight, after the fight, during the fight. The man just won't shut up. Literally, there are interviews where they're interviewing other boxers, and Muhammad Ali would jump in and start talking on the mic. And like the interviewers, they know each other well. They're pushing Mike Tyson, Muhammad Ali away and covering his mouth. And like, they can't get this man to shut up. Muhammad Ali just wouldn't be quiet for one moment. Not before the fight, not during the fight, not after the fight. So during the fight, you see Ali talking. And what's he saying? Well, he was making fun of Foreman, even though he was saying, look, I was close to death. There's a great documentary on this. Now, the build-up to the fight was also incredible. Why? Ali was accusing George Foreman of being a white man's, you know what, a bad word we're never supposed to say. Meaning that George is such a great boxer, but he knows nothing about his own history. Why? Well, he came to Africa with German Shepherds. German Shepherds were the dogs they used to round up the victims of the transatlantic slave trade. Now, if you guys don't know, Muhammad Ali was very politically involved. He understood what was going around him. He understood how America came to be. He understood the situation of the black man. He understood what was going on. He understood he wanted to fight in Africa. Why? Because we're coming back as kings. They're coming back as kings. They went in as slaves and they're coming back as kings. The build-up was incredible. Now, Foreman, he's not too deep of a guy at that time. Okay, later on, of course, he got wiser. He got more sophisticated. But at the time, he was a young man. You know, he was young. He was really young. And he's like, I just want to fight this guy. But this guy won't stop talking about politics. Now, the African people were 100% behind Muhammad Ali because Muhammad Ali understood their situation. Before the fight, they were painting murals of Muhammad Ali. But you have to understand, Muhammad Ali is the underdog here. He's going up against one of the greatest phenoms ever to step in a ring, George Foreman. The crowd is chanting Ali Boumaye, Ali kill him, Ali kill him, Ali kill him. And Foreman is destroying Ali right now. Ali is losing every round. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rounds go by, and Ali's getting a beating. Ali's barely punching back. I can't remember exactly what round. I think it was the 10th round. But you see Foreman start to get tired of beating the hell out of Muhammad Ali. And on a dime, the fight turns. Foreman starts to get tired, and he's like, I've never hit a guy so many times in my life, and the guy kept standing there. Muhammad Ali throws a beautiful combination like he always does. Hands of lightning. Now, Muhammad Ali, in my opinion, at this point was having the performance of he did the game plan of a lifetime, but he wasn't in his peak. He was getting beat up. Muhammad Ali was getting beat up. Turns it around. Foreman gets a little bit tired, and then pop. Steps to the side, pop, drops Foreman. Foreman falls on the ground. Ali hands up in the air, and the fight's over, and the crowd goes ballistic. They've been chanting Ali Boumaye the entire fight. Ali kill him. Ali kill him. Kill this man who's coming here, not understanding the context of what this fight is, what's going on here, about the motherland, about how the mistreatment and the brutality and the slavery and the evils. Ali's always chirping about it. He's always talking about justice. And Foreman's like a big oaf. At that time, he was a young man, Of course, he got much more sophisticated as he got older. He got more charismatic. He got more, he died recently, so I don't take this the wrong way. But at the time, compared to Ali was more involved in politics. He was more involved. He was more vocal. He was more in speaking up for the black cause. And he absolutely crushed George Foreman in a small window at the end, like just after kissing death on the mouth. It was after we watch it now. After this, there's a great documentary on it called The Rumble in the Jungle. It's a must. That was the name of the show. That was the name of the fight. It's a must watch. I have to rewatch it now. Just thinking about it, I got to rewatch that fight. Okay, guys, I have super chats. I'm always doing super chats and non-super chats. Okay, Coach, I have a kickboxing fight in 3 weeks. Any tips? That's from Nadir. Nadir, hands up, chin down, move your feet. Okay, smart feet, smart fighter. Don't forget that. Hands up, chin down, and move your feet. Let the rest come out naturally. Okay, your instincts will kick in. Coach, come stop by 10th Planet Poway whenever. That's from James. James, I would love to. Poway? Where's Poway? I don't know where Poway is. Let me look that up real quick. Poway. If I'm ever in town, I will try to remember, my friend. Poway Jiu-Jitsu. California. All right, guys, I love California. I try to get to California once a year or once every second year. But I try not to go more than 2 years without going to California. I love California. And if I'm ever in town, my friends, I will try to remember 10th Planet Poway. Why would Ali go into the draft? Sadly, many of his prime years was wasted with the stupid policy. That's from Water. Well, he refused the draft. Then he was sentenced to jail. He appealed it. He never went in jail, but he was sentenced to jail. Okay, now he got stripped from his title. There was a lot of politics. Guys, I immensely respect Muhammad Ali. He was incredible. He said, why would I go to Vietnam and kill a guy? Why would I go to Vietnam and kill a guy for the white man? Why would I go across the sea and go kill a man who has nothing to do with me? He's never oppressed me. He never put me in chains. He didn't have Jim Crow laws against me. He never called me the N-word. He said that famously. He said, no Viet Cong. And Viet Cong is not a nice way to call Vietnamese. But, he was kind of playing on words here. Ali was very poetic in many ways. It's like, no Viet Cong ever called me N-word. And it was like, he's like, yeah, I'm not going to go on the front lines. Well, guys, truth be told, Ali was not going to be on the front lines. Ali was going to be handing out water bottles and giving little speeches and just boosting morale of the men. Who was going to actually die on the front lines? Well, they round up the black communities, the Hispanic communities, all the poor towns, all the poor villages. That's who they sign up. They go and they entice them. And they tell them that, oh, you're going to be so brave. You're fighting for your country. We respect you. Thank you for your service. The politicians never put their kids on the front lines. Never. Never. They always put the poor, the have-nots, the kids with very little options in life, and they entice them with a military career. Then they push them on the front lines. And then when enough of them die, like, you know what? We're sick of this war. Let's go back home. Having accomplished nothing. Just killing, massive slaughter. And of course, the people who have investments in military companies, contracts, they get really rich. So a select few of Americans get crazy rich. Politicians get crazy rich. The poor get slaughtered, massacred, devastated. The taxpayer fits the bill. And the Vietnamese are, bitter for, generations. Angry. It's sad. That's why I respect Muhammad Ali so much for standing up for what's right and even accepting to be stripped from his title and possibly facing jail time. Now, he never faced jail time. He never went to jail. He never actually did time. He appealed it. And by the time his appeal was done and all that, the war had become wildly unpopular. And I can't remember exactly how it played out, but I think it was his appeal that got him out of it. If we look at today, we got guys like Propaganda Murray. He goes on Joe Rogan and gets crushed. I'm so happy, guys. I got to salute another man. I got to salute Joe Rogan because Joe Rogan went out after and started making fun of Douglas Murray For those of you who haven't seen it, Douglas Murray was like, have you been there? Have you been there? You never been to Palestine? Oh, you can't have an opinion then. Like, basically, he was just trying to say, you've never been there. You don't know what you're talking about. Astrophysicists have never been to outer space. Next time an astrophysicist tries to talk to me about space, I'm going to laugh at him. I'm like, have you ever been there? Have you ever been there? You never been there? We can't talk about space then. Have you ever been in a UFC fight? You've never been in a UFC fight. You can't talk about it. Dana White could not talk about UFC fights. Why? He's never been in the cage. He's never been in it. He's never been punched by Israel Adesanya. He's never been punched by, George St. Pierre. He's never been kicked in the head by Anderson Silva. Like, what? We can be informed in other ways, man. We can do a little research. And the craziest thing about the whole debate was, then I had to look up right away. Okay, what's his background? What's his diploma in? What's his degree? English literature. He's not even a historian. He's not a trained politician. He's a nothing. He's a nothing. He's an English lit. Guys, I have nothing against English literature. All I'm saying is, if you're gonna go after somebody else's credentials, you better have credentials. What a smug, disgusting. What is he? What's the right word? He's a smug, disgusting reptile. I think he's a reptile. Doug Murray. He just wants to propaganda. Anyways, it blew up in his face. Everybody on the internet is making fun of him. Everybody's dismissing him. Everybody's saying what a smug bastard he is. It's incredible how bad his arguments are. And the craziest thing is he's full of misinformation. It's crazy. He was actually on the Joe Rogan's show stating that the Palestinians have their own state. What a fool. Like, you have to be really stupid to think that they're fighting for a state. They don't have a state. They don't govern their own state. They're under occupation, under blockade by the legal definition. It's crazy because you're not an expert. He's always crying about people who are not experts. The experts disagree with you, Mr. Propaganda Murray. You imbecile. The experts you cry about, that you're appealing to, disagree with you wholeheartedly. It's kind of insane. He doesn't know that Palestine doesn't have their own state. Gaza is a prison, and Hamas is like the prison gang in the prison. They don't control. Hamas does not govern the border. They don't control what goes in. They don't control what goes out. Now, of course, they're smuggling like in any prison, but they don't control what goes in. They don't control what goes out. They don't control their airspace. Even when you're born in Gaza, you have to register with the Israeli directory. Even the water that falls, the rainwater, is property of Israel. They can't build, they're like, oh, they could have built a Singapore. The worst talking points. Douglas Murray has the worst talking points. You can't build a Singapore. They're over 40 to 50% unemployed. Who's going to buy those condos? Who's going to buy? They don't have any money. There's no GDP. There's no economy. You control the economy. You control what goes in, what goes out. You give them a certain amount of calories per person. Like you automate, you control absolutely everything. Why would you build condos if there's nobody who can afford them? Why would you build something beautiful when there's nobody who can afford? Anyways, it's just so dumb. It's crazy. The amount of ignorance. I wish I could do a whole video on it and just sit there with a panel of experts and just fact check everything. It's incredible how ignorant and factually incorrect he is. It's just incredible. How much time is required for me to train to be able to protect my family? That's from Poco Foco. Poco, it's a lifetime of training. I really believe you should do some jiu-jitsu, some wrestling, and have a boxing routine. Why? Because the thing is with boxing, it's more of you could do a workout by yourself. Wrestling and grappling, I really think it's very limited training by yourself. It's very limited. Now, it's doable. To a certain extent, it's doable. But you really need a partner. You need to have kind of exchanges where you wrestle, and you need a partner. You can use a wrestling dummy. You could do solo drills, but that'll take you so far. Whereas boxing, one, you can get in crazy shape. And boxing also, kickboxing is also good. It maintains flexibility, it maintains mobility. It's really incredible. And Of course, you have to go through a sparring. So sometimes you need somebody to spar with. Even if you spar like 5 times, 10 times a year, it's still good enough to defend yourself. More than good enough to defend yourself in the street. But doing your bag routine, shadow box routine, like I said, I really believe you should warm up, do your technique, and then do some kind of conditioning. If you did that, man, you'd be a dangerous guy on your feet. If you did that on a regular basis. Okay, so me, usually I do my bag work on Fridays. Okay, so I teach the pros in the morning. I come home, I grapple. So I train the pros in the morning, I grapple in the afternoon, and then I go home, I do my bag work, and then at night I train a few pros. But my bag work is once a week at least, and it's like a very important time of the week for me. Why? Because I do like a 40-minute workout. Okay, I do like a crazy 40-minute workout. In that workout, sometimes I lose like 7-8 pounds. Okay, now of course it's just water, it's just temporary water weight loss, but it keeps me lean. Like it's my day of the week where I really burn a lot of calories, okay? And I enjoy it. I go into a special place in my mind and I really enjoy it. Now, oftentimes I'll play a podcast or I'll play something interesting. I'll put my headphones on and I'll just work the bag. I'll do my warm-up. I'll work the bag. I'll do a long back session. And then I'll do my conditioning at the end and I feel amazing. I feel like, man, I dropped a lot of weight, but I feel amazing. Now, of course, I'm going to eat, drink, rehydrate, put it all back on. And yes, it does help keep me lean. It's not 10 pounds of fat, of course not. But it's a therapeutic day of the week. I don't know why it's so therapeutic, but just draining everything you have in your body, just getting rid of everything. It feels amazing. It's actually kind of like spiritual. It puts me in a space where I feel like, if one day, I don't know, it's just like, it makes you mentally tough as well. You know how to empty the tank. It kind of feels good and it kind of feels a little bit bad at the same time. It's kind of special. But I think somebody who has a bag routine and they're doing grappling 4 or 5 times a week or 3 times a week or 2 times a week at minimum, I wouldn't do less than 2 times a week, can more than defend himself. Now, you got to keep that up, I think, for the rest of your life. I don't see any reason to why he should ever stop. It's like saying, hey, when do I stop maintaining my car? You never stop maintaining your car. You're going to drive the car, you got to maintain it. The body is 1,000,000 times more important than your car. When do I stop maintaining my house? Never. You're living in the house, you need to maintain it. Your body is 1,000,000 times more important than your house, so maintain your body. Now, grappling is incredible. Wrestling is a little bit dangerous. I'll tell you guys, be careful with wrestling. A lot of people get injured. I really believe, like, before you wrestle, me and my guys, I make them grapple 2 rounds on the ground first. So I give them situation or like what do you guys I forget what they call it, but like a situation, like start like half guard or close guard, or sometimes we do like body lock passing situation. And then after 2 rounds on the ground, then I'll let guys wrestle standing. But I never let guys wrestle standing when they're dry. No, you got to be sweaty, you got to be really warmed up. And if you know how to wrestle properly, you won't get injured, okay? But guys, I find, get injured wrestling because they're like, oh, it's round 1, let's go wrestle. It's like, are you crazy? You're not warm up. Wrestling requires full warm up. You should be drenched in sweat before you wrestle. Okay, guys, I got to bang out these super chats, but I'm going to be doing non-super chats as well, okay? I realized the pattern in the Quran where when Allah reveals a ruling, He also claims to be Al-Ghafur, Ar-Rahim. Thoughts on certain patterns in the Quran? That's from Tala. Look, there is a lot of patterns in the Quran, but if I start talking about this now, I'm going to be here forever. Now, there's something called the ring composition. I really think you should do some research on that. The Quran is incredibly ordered. Like, it's incredible. Like, it mentions the word day 365 times. Now, you have to remember, this is before the Arabs had their calendar. Like, it's incredible. It says Adam is like Jesus, alayhi salam, and they're mentioned the same amount of times. Like, there are so many details to the Quran. Like, we could talk about we could do hundreds of episodes on this, okay? It's too complex of a topic now, but think about it. Even the ratio of how it's just, there's so many mysteries and patterns. And link composition is also incredibly special. It's another way of proving how the Quran is preserved. A lot of people don't talk about this because it's a bit complicated, but the Quran is very systematic in many ways. And if something was added or taken away, it would break down the system. It's genius. It's pure genius. Okay. But this is something that would be a whole episode on its own easily. I highly recommend you check out link composition. Coach, what Hollywood actor do you think is a true martial artist? That's from JB. Definitely Bruce Lee. He was definitely a real martial artist. Van Damme. I've gotten a chance to work with Van Damme. He's a cool guy. He's truly a martial artist. Who else out there? Definitely not Steven Seagal. I don't consider him to be a real martial artist. I think he's just like all ego. I would say like he's not. Doesn't seem to be too nice. Who else? I guess I shouldn't say that. I would say, look, Steven Seagal is a martial artist, but he's not the highest caliber of martial artist, and his ego, it just seems to be like out of control. I've never met the guy myself, but I've heard people who've interacted with him. I've heard a lot of stories of people who had first-hand interactions with him, and when I see him on camera, it's like, whew, and he's had guys he's training in UFC, and it's like those guys all want movie careers and whatever. It makes me question, because especially his thing with Anderson Silva, and then Anderson Silva did a video where he was kind of laughing about it, and it's just kind of like weird. Anyways, I'm not gonna say anything too much of that, but there's Gene LaBelle. Gene LaBelle talked to me about his interaction with Steven Seagal. There's a whole story there, but whatever. I don't want to get into it too much, but he just seems like like he should take a notch down. Like, okay, he's a movie star and all that, but it's a movie. It's not real fighting. And I think he needs to show some respect to the guys who are really getting in there and doing it. Coach, I have a pinched nerve in my neck last Friday. Been in a lot of pain since. Tried your neck routine and went to the doctor. Still have pain. Any advice? That's from Tufik. Tufik, if you tried my neck routine with the neck harness, okay, you need to maintain using the neck harness. You need to use it 3 times a day until your pain subsides. I recommend 20 minutes to 30 minutes, okay? But you got to relax. You can't rush relaxation. You got to decompress your neck over time. Slowly, the nerves will decompress. Now, but you have to do it 2 to 3 times a day, every day, until the pain subsides. It can take 10 days, 12 days, 15 days. So you're saying last Friday. That's not that long, okay? So keep working on it. Keep working on it. What you've done to your neck, I've done to my neck 30 times already. Don't worry about it. You're not the first guy to do it, okay? I just promise you, follow the details in that video and keep using the neck harness. It's the most powerful of all the tools, okay? Use it. Keep decompressing your spine. Keep decompressing your neck. Do the exercises I show. It takes maybe 1 month and your neck is going to be feeling a lot better. Hey, Coach, what are the chances you're doing a Fight Companion podcast on older MMA fights where you go over historical context play-by-play? That's from S. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool idea. Yeah, if you guys put that in the comment section and it gets a lot of likes, I'll do it. I'll definitely do it. Elvis was a hero. He went to Vietnam. That's from Larry Bird. I don't agree. Whoever pushed the Vietnam War, I think you're out to lunch, man. That was a horrible idea. Just killed a bunch of Vietnamese people, murdered, slaughtered. It's disgusting. Absolutely not. And I think Elvis would have been more respectful if he's like, hey, what's the point of this war? Why go out there and kill them? Why? What's the point? Because you want to convince them of democracy? Well, how could you force democracy on the people? Shouldn't they want to have democracy? You could say, look, we're fighting the government. That I'm okay with if you want to fight a government. But to kill and slaughter people, the people were fighting because they don't want to be governed by you. Who's your favorite boxer? Coach? That's from Pablo. I would have to definitely say Muhammad Ali. Definitely. I'm recovering from debilitating OCD since 18, and now at 27, I'm finally coming back to reality and getting my sense of self back. Much time has passed, and I still want to be a great fighter. Any advice? That's from PK. PK 27, it's getting a little late. If you haven't been training from a young age, it's getting a little late. So I would tell you, do it for fun. Give it 2-3 years of training and try to reassess. But learn to enjoy it. It doesn't have to be for millions of dollars and a major fight night. No, it's great to do it that way. Don't get me wrong. That's the dream. Don't get me wrong. That's like doing something incredible. But, you can find success other ways in life, I'm a black belt in judo and have been boxing intensely for 5 years. That's from YS. YS, that's very admirable. Coach, I've been practicing Muay Thai for around 5 years, but I'm nearly 7 feet tall. Wow. And it's still hell on my knees. Is there a form of martial arts you recommend that's easier on the knees? That's from Lazy Bend. Lazy Bend. Get strong and stable knees for life and learn about knee positioning. You need it more than anybody else. And when you climb stairs, climb them 2 at a time. Don't climb 1 stair at a time. That's what's killing your knees. There's a whole other things that are probably killing your knees. Make sure to check out Strong and Stable Knees for Life. Do you need to get in shape before effective self-defense study? That's from M 2008. I think the best way to get in shape is a boxing routine. If you ask me, you warm up, you hit the bag. It's the best cardio. You know, they did a test on the YouTube channel, a really great test. This guy, I forget his name, but he has a crazy nice channel. He's got millions of followers. And he has this breathing apparatus thing where it counts your calories. It's like he made an experiment between him and one of his workers in his on his YouTube channel. The guy, one of his workers was really bad out of shape. And they did a list of activity, and they were listing the activities that burn the most calories. Number 1 for the guy who was fit was sprinting. And number 2, very close number 2, was hitting the bag, boxing. Now, for the guy who wasn't in shape, hitting the bag, boxing was the number 1 fat burning calorie exercise. Now, I would tell you, if it's sprinting or hitting the bag, man, hitting the bag is better. Why? You're working skill and getting fit. So I would tell you, start a bag routine, drop some pounds, get a bit in shape, and then go to the grappling and wrestling. Don't go to grappling and wrestling if you're totally out of shape. It's not really worth it. Another approach, if you're really interested in grappling, is do wrestling and grappling technique, but don't go live. Don't live roll if you're out of shape. So sometimes I have beginners come into the gym and they're out of shape, and I tell them, look, do the technique, but don't roll. After, when people are rolling, go do the treadmill, go do the air bike, go do some weights, go do some exercise, do some fitness. Okay, now the most important thing about dropping weight is your diet. So you got to also really tune in your diet, because you can lift all the weights in the world and you can do all the running you want, but you cannot outrun and outlift a donut, okay? Because it's so easy to eat the calories and it's so hard to burn them. So you have to get control of your diet. Coach, how important is sleep? I get around 5 hours a night. That's from Larry. Larry, I highly recommend you reconsider. You need 8 hours of sleep. Unless you're much older, you need 8 hours of sleep, my friend. Please do not shave off 3 hours of sleep a night. It will bite you in the ass. Be sure to get 8 hours of sleep. Start working your way to 6 hours, then 7 hours, and work your way to 8. But do not sleep 5 hours a night. It is not healthy. Please don't forget, I'm always doing super chats and non-super chats, but I try my best to bang out all the super chats there is. And they're piling on. Do you like specialized sparring rounds for beginners? For example, first round boxing only, second round kickboxing only. It makes sparring less overwhelming. That's from World. Every sparring at TriStar starts with just boxing. All of us. We start with boxing, and then we'll move to kickboxing with MMA, takedowns and stuff like that. Some ground, not too much ground. So I'm a big believer in boxing. All TriStar gym sparring rounds, every day it starts with boxing. Even if it's MMA day, we'll warm up with boxing. It's the best warm up. And once you're warmed up, then we start with the kicks and the wrestling. I'm a big believer in warming up correctly. The better the warm up, the less injuries. And boxing has a special distance and speed and cadence to it that I feel is very crucial for fighting. Who's your favorite president? That's from Luke Ibiz. Favorite president? I don't really have one. I can't tell you I know much about the presidents. I'm not like a history buff in terms of American presidency. So I'm not really well educated on that. I mean, I know the basics, but I'm not really sophisticated there. Coach, I'm 32 minutes into Douglas Murray's JRE episode. This is brutal. Listen. Should I finish the next 2 hours? I want to rip my hair out. That's from Matthew. Guys, forget the first 32 minutes. The whole first hour and 15 minutes was brutal. It's just Douglas Murray complaining that Joe doesn't have on experts. Joe's guest currently, Dave, is not an expert. And only experts should talk. And then you realize that Douglas Murray is not an expert. He's just a guy with English literature degree. And then he's just, what else is he complaining about? He's like, Oh, that's the problem. And then he starts harping on you've never been to Palestine, you've never been to Gaza, you've never been to Israel. Oh my God, you can't even give your opinion. It's like, dude, argue. That's what we call ad hominem, poisoning the well. Okay, you're just saying, look, don't listen to this guy I'm about to engage with because he's bad for these reasons. That's called ad hominem. Okay. Don't forget, guys, my degree is in logic. Okay? I studied philosophy in university. I have a degree. Okay, that's my wheelhouse. Okay, that's what I do. And I will tell you something. He's not engaging with the argument. He's running from the argument. It's a fight, right? It's like, imagine me and you are scheduled for a fight. We're going to go in the arena. Like Douglas Murray agreed to debate Dave Smith. I believe his name is Dave Smith. And then he gets there and just harps on his credentials and saying, oh, your credentials aren't good enough. It's like, dude, you came here to debate him. So imagine me and you are about to fight. They lock the cage door and I'm like, hey, man, you don't understand. I'm so much better than you, man. I'm so much better than you. Like, I'm so good. You don't want this, man. You don't want none of this. If we start to dialogue, you're going to get your ass kicked. So we're all like, everybody's like, okay, just start the dialogue. If Dave Smith is so dumb, he's so ignorant, you can quickly fact check him. Joe Rogan is there. He's got his guy. Fact check that. Google it, search it. Like, let's do it, man. And he's just harping and harping. Imagine that, okay? Imagine I get in the octagon with you and I'm like, hey, man, I'm so much better than you. You sure you want some of this? And you're like, yes, let's do it. And then I'm like, no, man. And I just for an hour and a half, just keep saying how you don't want none of this. And it's crazy. Then you look up my credentials and you're like, oh, this guy's never had a fight. He's a white belt. He doesn't know anything. Like, he's completely factually wrong on so many points. It's scary. And then you find out all the experts think I'm wrong, that I don't know how to fight. Imagine then you go talk to all the best experts in fighting and they're all like, this guy's he's a bum. He said nothing. He doesn't know what he's saying. He's completely false, completely wrong. Everything he says is backwards. You'd be like, what is this guy? This guy's an imbecile. But one of my favorite parts in the entire podcast, it was brutal to listen to. But it was when Joe Rogan got really angry with Douglas Murray. And he was like, hey, man, you got to stop cutting him off. And Douglas took a step back and he realized, hey, Joe's about to tell him to shut up. Like, Joe was about to, it seemed like Joe wanted to tell him, hey, man, shut the hell up. Shut up, man. The guy's talking. Every time he talks, you have to cut him off. Like, he's propaganda Murray. His whole thing is not about having a dialogue and trying to understand one another and moving forward. It's nothing like that. All he's there is to talk about why one side is good and the other side is evil. And one thing he says, October 7th proved there will never be peace. It's like, dude, shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. We know of 1,001 October 7ths in history, battles, and the two became great friends. Like, for instance, Germany's a big supporter of Israel, a huge supporter. Would you say, oh, the Holocaust is proof that we'll never be friends? The Holocaust is a massive, how do you say it? Like a massive disaster to humanity. A massive disaster. It was one of humanity's darkest hours. Now, if you know history, there's a lot of dark hours in humanity, but it's definitely one of the lowlights of humanity. One of the worst times. Would you say, if you were there, oh, well, that proves Germany will never, and Jews will never get along? No, it wouldn't prove that. Look now, Germany is one of the biggest supporters of Israel. Wrongfully so, I think. Wrongfully so. They're accomplices in genocide. Again, a wrong side of history. But all I'm saying is, like, look how they're in cahoots now. They were enemies, now they're in cahoots. Not long ago, the Jewish people lived under Muslim rule, and the Muslims protected the Jewish people for 800 years. The Jewish people owe a lot to the Muslim people. Definitely, without a doubt. Now, if you don't want to take my word for it, let me play you a famous rabbi. Let me play for you a famous rabbi. How about that? Okay, would you guys like to hear a famous rabbi who's agreeing with me? And you won't believe who it is. You won't believe who it is. It's going to blow your mind. I'm going to play you a famous rabbi. We're going to ask Rabboni. Rabboni is going to come here and tell us with his own words. Rabboni, where are you? Let's see here. Let me see if I can find it. If you guys will be so patient. Please, no more super chats for a little bit. If you guys will be so patient. Let me find you Rabboni. Problem is, I got too many videos saved. Hold on. Listen to this voice, okay, friends? Listen to this voice. You know what? I'm gonna put it up on screen. He has such a pretty face. Let's put him up on screen. Let's put up the famous Chabai Shmuli. Let's put up Rabboni, and let's hear what Rabboni has to say. All right, here it is.
How do you regard the breakdown of communities? And for example, how do you regard Islam in the Muslim world nowadays? It's been very negatively stereotyped.
If you guys don't recognize that, that's Rabbi Shmuli.
Well, look, I'm actually, interestingly enough, as an Orthodox Jew, a great champion of Islam. The fact is that the Jewish community has a real debt to the Islamic community, because when we were kicked out of Catholic Spain in 1492, when we were kicked out of Catholic Portugal, I think in 1503, it was the Muslims who took the Jews in. That's why there are Jewish communities in the Islamic world till this very day.
If you didn't hear that clearly, he's saying, look, it's the Muslims who took the Jews in when the Jews were kicked out of Spain, and he's talking about 1492, the Spanish Inquisition, after the Spanish Inquisition, when Spain was taken over by Christians and they expelled all the Muslims.
Islamic community, the Jewish community of Istanbul dates from then. It was specific of Catholic Spain in 1492. When we were kicked out of Catholic Portugal, I think in 1503. It was the Muslims who took the Jews in. That's why there are Jewish communities in the Islamic world till this very day. The Islamic community, the Jewish community of Istanbul dates from then. It was specifically countries not beyond the Ottoman Empire, where Jews were tolerated and they were welcomed in, and they paid a jizya. There was a poll tax they paid, but they were never persecuted, and there wasn't a Holocaust in the Islamic world. The fact is, the Jews and Muslims have so much in common. And let me just tell you, there isn't a conflict outside of the Middle East. Very often I meet Muslims here in the United States, and my first expression to them is one of sympathy. Like, just know, people don't think that people, God forbid, look down at you. I honor you for.
There you go, Rabbi Shmuli himself. So, after the event of Zionism, now they're like trying to paint the Muslims as the bad guy. But at the end of the day, who kept you alive? Who kept you alive? Who served you during that time? Now, anyways, it's a more complicated story than that. Of course, it's very complex. We're not going to go through it all now. But there was a time, definitely, where the Muslims, for actually almost 1,000 years, protected Jewish people. Coach, you should react to Candace Owens' video on Jordan Peterson. That's from Spartacus. I saw another video of Jordan Peterson crying. Like, wah. Like, what's he crying about now? Look, I'm not against men crying, but there's a point where we see too many thumbnails of a man crying. It's kind of like weird, man. Like, what's going on with him? Like, every thumbnail is him crying. Every interview, he's crying. I worry. Well, I'm not a big fan of Jordan Peterson after what happened, but I think he's a sellout. I think he's a disgusting sellout. I don't want to get on his case now again, but man, what a sellout that man is. I don't know how he sleeps at night. I don't know. Like, I feel like dirty. I have to shower all day long. I feel like, oh man, I'm such a sick, disgusting, spineless sellout. But that's just me, because for me, money's not everything. Money's not everything. But for Peterson, I think he loves the money. He loves the money, man. He rolls around in the money like Scrooge McDuck or something. I don't know. He's just a sick man. Faraz seems not very familiar with North and South Vietnam. LOL. That's from Old Man Dave. I'll look it up. I'm not super familiar. No, I wasn't born during the Vietnam era. So it wasn't really something I studied in detail. Coach, is the UFC turning into boxing where the best fighters don't want to fight each other? And if so, whose fault? That's from Muhammad Udin. Well, I think the only real issue right now is Islam Makhachev not wanting to fight Bilal Muhammad. So I don't think that's a big issue. I think it's kind of normal. We're going to be kind of like working together sometimes, like groups, and we don't want to fight each other. I think it's kind of normal once in a while you're going to see that thing, but it's not so bad. I mean, that's the only case I can think of. I can't really think of any other case. Coach, did you hear of Jon Jones dropping out of the fight with Aspinall? That's from Water. I don't know if he dropped out. That would mean he had agreed to it. I don't know. I don't think he ever agreed to it officially. I'm not sure. I haven't looked into it, but I'd be surprised if he agreed to it officially and then pulled out. That would surprise me. So if that's the case, please somebody put in the comment section. But as far as I know, it was never agreed to. I could be wrong. Have you looked into the ecological approach, CLA, for skill acquisition? Very fascinating. That's from Fahmi. Fahmi, what's CLA for skill acquisition? Because ecological approach, to me, the way I understand it, it's just like situation, right? You're like, you're going like, let's say, half guard bottom. Okay, and the game is this. Like, I'm trying to do one thing and you're trying to do another, and we kind of like fence. I think that's cool, but also can overtire the body. I do definitely use situation, definitely. However, I'm not sure what CLA for skills mean. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Prime Coach Zahabi versus Prime Coach Javier Mendez. I've met Javier Mendez. I've hung out with him a couple of times. I really like the guy. He's a super, super cool guy. I won't speculate on who would win in the fight between me and him, but I'll tell you something. He's a very, very cool guy. Very humble guy. Very sweet man. And, it was a pleasure working with him. All right, guys, I'm going to bang out these super chats, but I'm also doing non-super chats. I'm glad the podcasts are earlier. My sleep has improved. Ha ha ha. That's from Barnoon. Sleeping Beauty Barnoon. I'm glad you're getting your rest, my friend. Thank you. What do you think about tape for snoring? That's from Talal. I think you should, for people who tape their mouth, you sleep with your mouth closed. I think that's brilliant, but use surgical tape. Don't use like regular tape, because you can have trouble taking it off if your nose is not working properly, and you could be in a panic, okay? I highly recommend you wear the head strap that holds your mouth closed. That's what I used, because even with the head straps, I've had nightmares where I'm drowning because I want to open my mouth in the middle of the night, but I can't. And I jumped out of bed at one time and I ripped the mask off and I thought I was drowning, and my wife woke up freaking out, and I was like breathing hard for air. And I can't imagine if I had a tape on my mouth that I couldn't just like open my lips, force my lips open. I was wearing the strap, it's like a little strap. It just gently holds your mouth shut, just gently. So if you do open your mouth forcefully, it'll open. But in my sleep, I guess my muscles were like really like out. So I was like having a dream that I'm drowning, and I jumped out of the water. I swam to I was trying to surface, right? And I jumped out of the water, and I ended up jumping out of my bed, ripping the mask off like an idiot. And I'm feeling really dumb because I thought I was going to die from a drowning, Anyways, but imagine you had like tape, like a tight tape. I would have freaked out. I would have been like, I would have clawed it off my face, right? Not knowing that I'm sleeping in my bed. But luckily I was wearing the head thing and it just came off really easily. By the way, yes, do sleep with your mouth closed. Yes. Use surgical tape, because that's really, you could just force your lips open. And or the thingamajigger that holds your mouth shut. That's even better. That's way better, because then you don't have glue on your face, I want this on my shirt. Quote, you can't outrun a donut. That's from Tanvir. Hey, man. If that shirt goes viral, you gotta owe me royalties, my friend. You're gonna owe me royalties, sir. Coach, what year did you start training jiu-jitsu? That's from Kyle. Probably year 2000. 25 years ago, my friend. 25 years. Who's your favorite prime minister? That's from Old Man Dave. I like Carney because he has sympathy towards the Middle East. You know, I like the NDP because they're like, hey, that's a genocide. They're calling it out. We got to stop the arms. No more arms sales. No more supporting this. This is just a massacre. Nobody can look at Gaza today and be like, oh, these are precision strikes. They're not doing this on purpose. Oh, this is just like, oh, this is just collateral, accidental. It's all no, no. You look at Gaza. It's been flattened. It's been destroyed. Everything has been leveled. Half the population are children. Are you insane? Like, are you insane? And then you're gonna say, we didn't do it on purpose. Oh no, we didn't do it on purpose. The most densely populated area in the world, and you're like, oh no, we're just trying to kill the bad guy. No, your job, your mission, like you've said online, you've said it publicly, is damage, not precision. They have completely destroyed and leveled the area. It's inhumane. It'll never be forgotten. Once people get their courage together, they're going to voice against it, especially years from now, 10 years from now. When it's safe to talk, everybody's going to come out of the woodwork and say, that was pure evil. It's disgusting. It's unforgivable. It's unforgettable. And anybody who makes an apology for it, you're a coward. You're truly a coward. You're a cowardly person. Coach, have you ever done hyperbaric chamber? Beneficial? Question mark. That's from James. I have done it. I didn't find it so incredible. A lot of people swear up and down by it. For me, I didn't feel it was made a major difference. Coach, do you think Newton's work on the Bible is irrelevant or just speculation? That's from JB. JB, I would tell you something. JB, guys, I got to tell you, he's got the best questions. He's got great questions. Isaac Newton, probably arguably the most intellectual man in history. I could talk to you here all day about Isaac Newton. He was one of the great thinkers in history. Really incredible, okay? He speculated that the world would end by 2064. I'm just doing it by memory, but if I remember correctly, it was 2064. Not too far from now, guys. Not too far. Not too far. Now, why would he say that? Because at that time, in his surroundings, everybody was trying to use the Bible to figure out the date of the end of the world. Now, there's a famous verse. It says, nobody knows the day, not the not the Son, not the angels. So when they ask him, how could you say you know the day? He say, I'm not know the day, I know the year. So they will tell you that. So there was at his time, there was a lot of pressure to answer that question. I think Sir Isaac Newton was pressured to answer that question, even though he probably didn't believe his answer was correct. He was much more interested in answering scientific questions. Now, don't forget, he was feverishly interested in the Bible, but not that question. I'm not convinced that he was a believer in that answer, that 2064, it's logical by reading these verses in the Bible that the world ends in 2064. I don't think he thought that at all. I think he said it to appease the fellow man around him because they wanted an answer. They're like, hey man, you're really smart. You're a really sophisticated guy. Tell us when the end of the world is going to come and use the Bible to tell us. I think there was a pressure. Personally, that's my own personal assessment. Take it with a grain of salt. It means nothing. Maybe he did mean that. He's not here for us to ask him. I think though, he had of course he really believed in the Bible. He's a really dedicated Christian. How do we know that? Because on his deathbed, he made declarations. On his deathbed, he said things that if he didn't believe in the Bible, he would have just said it. Why? Because they can't do anything about it. He's dying. He's literally like, it's his last hours. He died in his bed comfortably, okay? Suffering from whatever he had. He died in his bed. What are they going to do? Execute him? Put him house arrest? They can't do anything to him. So if he didn't believe in God, he would have renounced God. If he didn't believe in Christianity, he would have renounced Christianity. Except he affirmed his belief in God, but he renounced the Trinity. He said the Trinity was a perversion of the church. They added that later. It was a corruption of the church. It's not true. The Trinity is not true. You have to understand, he studied the Bible more than he studied science. I know he's known for his science, but the man was feverishly interested in studying the Bible. Coach, how would you manage the amount of information that you share with your students in jiu-jitsu? How much you teach and how much they really retain and apply? Thank you for your answer. That's from Juan. Juan, that's such a great question. Look, I'll tell you something, okay? I'm thinking in the future, like I'm filming my classes and I'm thinking I'm going to put them on jujiclub.com and there might be a monthly. Actually, you know what? Let me take a poll. I've been meaning to ask, okay? Should Juji Club go monthly? So you pay like $20 a month and you get a bunch of stuff. Okay, so you wouldn't be getting the courses, but you getting a front seat to my classes. Okay. So should Juji Club go monthly? Should Juji Club classes go monthly? So what does that mean? Okay, so basically like I'm teaching a class and you're in the front row seat. So you still have courses you can buy. Let's say you want to know half guard, you want to know K guard, you want to do a deep dive on one subject, you'd still have that. But we've been filming now and editing videos of just like, what am I teaching today in class? Well, I taught this in the AM, I taught this in the PM. Well, people want to see, they want to be sitting in the front row of your class. Okay, they're sitting there, the camera's there. And what do I teach? So this is how I usually teach, okay? I teach something really easy to do. So let's say I'm teaching bear trap, okay? It's one of my favorite moves. I'm doing a bear trap. I show an easy version of it. Then I say, guys, if you know this version already, do the second progression. I show the second progression. Then I'll watch my students. Okay, and I have more advanced students. I'm going to go there and be like, guys, do this, 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 and this. I'll give them something to do. And then I watch the class. I tell them, look, if you're doing it 80% right, I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm going to let you work. I'm going to let you rep it out. And then I'm going to show it again. I'm going to ask you to get it to 85, 90% right. If you're doing it, if you can't do 80% right, I just showed you a move and you can't do 80% of it. In my opinion, it's too much effort to keep going on that progression. We got to go down a progression. I got to show you a version of this move, but easier, less details. So in my opinion, if you're not doing it 80% right, we're wasting our time. I find that 80% right is the right amount, where if you keep repping it out, you're going to do it your way. You're going to even, if I don't say anything, you're going to get to 85, 90% right. You're going to keep improving. You're going to be like, oh, it makes more sense to do this way, that way. You'll figure it out. But if you're doing a move 50% correctly, in my opinion, we're drilling bad habits. Stop what you're doing right there. Let's do a progression, a lower progression. Let me simplify. So I do progressions. So now let's say I'm watching the room. The room is doing it 80% right. I'm going to show a third or fourth progression. But the fourth progression, I'll tell guys, look, don't do this progression. Just watch it. Because there's a lot of guys in the room that know the first, second, and third progression. I'm showing the fourth progression for them. But I want everybody to see it because you're going to see it a few times before you ever even try it. You understand? I encourage the students, don't do a move that you can't do 80% right. Stop. Don't go to the next progression. So to simplify, I show progression 1 and I show progression 2. I let the student choose which one he thinks is best. I find that people naturally gravitate to what's easy to do, easy enough to do. When I see the practice room is doing it well, I'll add a third, fourth, fifth progression. And sometimes I'll walk around and I'll give my more advanced students something else to do or something on a more advanced version. Because the thing is, everybody, when they go into practice, they want something that's challenging to do, but not too difficult. It's challenging, but doable. That's what I always tell guys. When they tell me, how much weight should I put? I always say, make it challenging, but also doable. Like, don't be burning yourself out. It's not 99% effort here. I want an 85, 80% effort. That magic zone is where you grow. More than that, you're breaking your head. It's frustrating. You tried it in the role. It doesn't work. You don't understand it well enough. If it's too easy, it's boring. It doesn't help give you that feeling of self-improvement. Because don't forget, one of the most motivating things is you feel like you've improved. If somebody shows me something and I feel like, hey, if I drill that 10, 20 times, I'm going to improve. It's exciting. It's motivational. Training is all about that motivation. So there's a sweet spot between difficulty and ease, where it's just the right amount of challenge that I'm actually enjoying the process. I think that's the sweet spot. Is it possible to get in shape for my first amateur fight in 3 weeks? I'm nervous and I don't feel ready. I've been training for 6 months. I do good in sparring 60-70% of the time, but I get gassed. That's from someone. You cannot get in shape in 3 weeks. So pull the plug on the fight. Okay. Get in shape and then book a fight. Okay. So getting in shape should be 2-3 months, in my opinion. Okay. I don't know what level you're competing at, but 2-3 months and then book a fight. Don't book a fight and get in shape during the training camp. Please don't do that. Zone of proximal development. That's from IB. Yeah, I would agree. Like, it's probably like between 70 and 90. 90 for the guys who love, like, they've been training a long time and they love to push themselves. I would tell you even sometimes 95 if you're late in the workout and you're really warmed up. Okay, it's good to go even 95 sometimes. Once in a while. But regularly, if you're going to punch in the clock every day, you should be between 70 and 85. Guys, you'll be like me, okay, in your 40s, mid-40s. I'm 45 now, and I feel great, and I train every day. And here's the thing. I'm not just training myself. I go and I train pros in the morning. I'm holding pads. Like, I'm getting a lot of trauma on the body, and then I go and I roll. It's a lot of beating my body takes. It's a ridiculous amount. You're not going to be asked to take that much. So at my age, you should be super fit and super healthy, even fitter than me. Because, guys, I'll tell you something. One of the hardest things to do as a trainer, one of the hardest things is to hold pads because you're getting the shock of the punch and the hit and the kick. And, guys, maybe you guys haven't seen me hold pads. I've been holding pads 20 years. I'm a master pad holder. I've been holding pads with some of the greatest fighters, and also I've worked with some of the greatest trainers. I'm a I'm a black belt in pad holding. Like, it's my thing. Pad holding is my thing. Like, I'm a better pad holder than I do anything else. And I'll tell you something. It's an art, pad holding. It's vicious, man. I wake up in the morning in pain, suffering, because I can't do that 80%. I can't do that. The other guy's hitting as hard as he can. He's prepping for a real fight. Okay, so it's just shock. And it's very difficult for me to train after, but I have to go in a space in my mind where I'm like, no, I'm going to train. Because if I don't train, I'm like everybody else. Like, I fall behind. I start losing my health. And I start, like, if you don't train, you lose it. I don't care who you are. So I kind of push myself, but I know it's tough. It's very tough on the nervous system. I know I'm flirting with disaster a little bit, because when you're tired, that's when you get injured. When you're overworked, that's when you can get injured. Think high school math teacher. What are the qualities of a great teacher? That's from Talal. I would say he can make training fun and interesting. He'll pique my interest. He'll ask me the right questions. I find, like, the best teachers I ever had, they made me think. And thinking was fun. They made me think of math, geometry, or history in a way that was fun and intriguing. Honestly, the best history teacher I ever had, I'm telling you, no joke, is Jon Jones. I know he's known as a great jiu-jitsu practitioner, but believe me when I tell you, he's a master of history. He knows his history. Jon Jones, the grappling master coach, the greatest grappling coach of all time, is a master historian. I'll tell you something. George has a bit of ADD, He'll admit it to you. He's very open about it. But he would talk to me and George about history for an hour easily, 2-3 hours even sometimes. And me and George would be hooked on every word. Why? Because Jon Denahar has a compelling storytelling method. Now, as he's telling the story, he's gonna make jokes. He's gonna make references to modern day. He's gonna throw you in the story like you were like this guy, and like he's gonna make you laugh along the way. He's gonna make you laugh, man. There's nobody who could tell a story like Jon Denahar. But I'll tell you something. He's also a very shy person. Like, when you guys see him on the mic in front of the camera, he's not the guy we hang out with. That's more of his professional side, where he's on his good behavior. He's not really letting his true character out. Why? Because he's a very funny guy. He's a very intelligent, witty person. And man, nobody could tell a story like Jon Denahar. Nobody. And a lot of times he'll make fun of us. He would make fun of me and George and everybody else in the room. And we loved it. We loved it because he would just make us laugh out loud all the time. He would make us laugh out loud. And amazingly enough, he was incredibly educational. He's incredibly well-versed in everything. And I'm just telling you, like, I wish if Jon Danaher wasn't shy and just got on a camera and told stories the way he does when he's with us, I think he'd probably be one of the most famous podcasters in ever, honestly. Just saying, what an incredibly entertaining teacher. Coach, why is Rogan acting like he cares about Palestine after he supported Trump, who is a huge Zionist? WTF, free Palestine. That's from Seabreeze. Seabreeze, I understand you, but who's the lesser of two evils? Biden or Trump? Biden or Trump? I think Trump puts on a lot of bravado, but I'm hoping he doesn't go to war in Iran and no new wars. He promised no new wars. Where I think Biden was more of a lapdog for Israel. I think he was more like, whatever you say, we bow down to you. Now, I understand Trump is kind of doing the same thing because his base, the people behind him, that's what they want, the evangelical vote. That's what they want. They want Trump to be their attack dog. Now, if you ask me, it's the most unchristian thing you can ever do is what they're doing now. Support. Do you think Jesus wants you to bomb Gaza? Like, what a disgusting interpretation of Christianity. Like, I would love any Christian to come and like challenge me on this. I find this disgusting, man. Like, what a humiliation. Like, don't get me wrong, we all have our crazies, okay? Jewish people have their crazies, Muslims have their crazies, Christians have their crazies, the atheists have their crazies, the feminists have their crazies. But do you really think that Jesus Christ's message was like, oh yeah, I'll tolerate this bombing of children. Yeah, just throw those bombs, launch them, destroy it, level the place. Like, just kill them all. Like, how disgusting, man. Like, really, I hate it when people do that with Islam. I hate it when people do it with Christianity. I hate it when people do it with Judaism. Because I don't believe it's anything to do with Judaism. Judaism was to teach the world, thou shalt not murder, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. It's about morality. Okay, so for me personally, I don't blame the religion. I blame the distorted, hypocritical spin that they put on religion. I don't really believe that they respect the religion. They spit on the religion. They mock it. They use it as a weapon. They just weaponize it. That's all it is to them. Now, I think Trump, I think he says a lot of dumb things. I think he said a lot of horrible things. I'm just wondering, is he too dumb to understand what he's saying? Honestly, like, I know a lot of people are going to get angry with me, but I really think, does he not understand what the words he just said? Like, he was like, oh, hopefully we'll just take Gaza over. The U.S. will take it over. We'll just move them somewhere nice. Hopefully they'll want to leave. They're going to have a beautiful life somewhere else. We're going to give them a nice somewhere else. You know, there's a lot of money. It's like, dude, you just described ethnic cleansing. That's a war crime. Like, how come nobody's pointing out to him that it's a war crime? And then he walked it back. He's like, nobody said they were leaving. Nobody said they were leaving. Who told you that? I never said that. It's like, I watched 2 interviews. One where he's saying, hopefully they'll go somewhere. And then, well, they're not going anywhere. It's like, what? I think he realized later, oh, it's a war crime displacing people like such. And it's incredible how naive in a way, because he's like, I don't know if he's being naive, actually. Maybe he's just kind of like taking a jab at Netanyahu, because he was like, well, you know, they've suffered a horrible things. You know, they deserve so much better, the Palestinians. He was saying they've been brutalized. It's so bad what they've been through. And the guy next to him, Netanyahu, is like the guy who did it all. He's the guy who did it all. He's the guy who went and leveled the place. Disgusting. But I think in a way, maybe Trump is dog whistling, saying, look, I have the evangelicals with a gun to my head, and I have this guy over here who's like, they want me to send this guy money. And I'm telling you guys, maybe something good. Maybe he was dog whistling to the Arab countries. Look, take him in, man. Take these people in. Because I've heard videos of him saying, look, they've had a horrible, they deserve so much better. The Palestinians deserve so much better. They're a pawn. He mentioned they were a pawn. And I agree with him. They're being used as a pawn. Okay, because there are evil forces out there, not just from one side, but from both. Okay, look, I think the Palestinians and Jewish people should live in peace. If you're truly a democracy, okay, let's live in peace. Everybody gets a vote, and whoever's the leader is the leader. That's it. That's it. That's democracy. That's what it is. Democracy is not like, hey, the government's gonna choose the people, and we're gonna displace some of you out there because we know we want only these people to vote for us. No, it doesn't work. That's not democracy. So if you want a democracy, bring it. You want to bring democracy? Well, do it the fair way. They're about 9 million Palestinians or about 9 million Jewish people. Let's share the power. Let's do it. We won't need Hamas if we all have a fair... we don't need rebel groups if everybody has human rights. People want to get out of Gaza. They want to break out. They want to break out from the blockade. They want to break out from the apartheid regime. They're always going to rebel. They're always going to rebel because their life is not worth... It's not worth living in captivity. It's not worth it. Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine you were living in your home. Okay, imagine you're living in your home, and I put you in like, not the club, but the basement. I locked you in the basement, and I was like, hey, you want to go out? You can't go out. You can't go out without my permission. Oh, you want to order a pizza? No, I'm not letting this pizza in. I'm going to let you have these breadsticks and this water, and that's all I'll let you. I'm going to give you that much, a little bit every day. That's it. I'm going to turn off your electricity, by the way. Also, I control your electricity. I control your water. I control your resources. No, you cannot trade with the rest of the world. No, nothing goes out. No, not allowed. Oh, you want to sell your dates? No, not allowed. I'll only allow you a certain amount. Or I'll tax you on it. They block them on every which way. Oh, you want to fish? Sorry, I block you to 7 miles. You're not allowed further than 7 miles. Anybody goes further than that, we shoot you, we kill you. Oh, you want an airport? No, sorry, no airport. It's like they want to break free. Imagine I locked you in your basement. I regulated your water. I regulated your electricity. I didn't let you out. Oh, your mother has cancer. She wants to go to hospital. Sorry, can't leave. Sorry, no, you're going to die. Sorry. Oh, you want to build a condominium? Well, you can't. I don't allow cement. I don't allow metal. I don't allow... Like, it's so restrictive. For sure they're going to rebel. They're not going to live under a blockade. They have the internet. They're seeing the whole world is traveling around, getting to know each other. The whole world is a big party. It's a global party. Everybody's traveling and being merry and being happy. Oh, you're having a party 5 miles from us, but we're here in a little cage? It's not going to fly, guys. As people wake up to what's going on, they're going to be more and more disgusted. Old man Dave, open up to Palestinians and just give everyone equal rights? Question marks. Would that work? Question mark. Old man Dave, I would tell you, look, it would be slowly emancipation. We want emancipation. I'm not saying go from cold to hot. No, that's not what I'm saying. Nobody's saying that. Emancipation. Like how they freed the blacks slowly. Yes, they abolished slavery, but blacks didn't have full rights right away. Why? It was creating too much threat, too much turmoil, too much instability. They understood that black man is equal to a white man, and we need to give him every right. But the society has to have an adaptation period, and it's normal, right? Because people are going to go from one way of living to another, and it's going to create unforeseeable consequences, right? We don't know what unforeseeable consequences might surprise us. Okay? The fact that black people and white people now live together, neighbors, get married, have children together, and we're like, those people were crazy back then. They thought we need to separate by color. What a stupid, ignorant way of thinking. Well, what do you think is going to happen in 20, 30 years? By the way, the polls are showing they're quickly increasing in terms of sympathy towards Palestine. The newest poll came out, 53% of Americans don't approve of Israel. That's crazy because it used to be like 80, 90% used to approve of Israel. Now you have first time ever they breached the 50% mark. What do you think is going to be in 20 years, 30 years? What I'm telling you is we need emancipation over time. So when the blacks rebelled, some whites were saying, no, we need to imprison the blacks even more. Because don't forget, there were black rebellions. When the blacks rebelled, they said, look, let's restrict them even more now. Don't allow them to be in groups. They even made it a law in America that you can't have blacks know how to read. They're not allowed to be taught how to read. Where many whites were like, hey, no, we need to go the other direction. They're rebelling because we're suppressing them. Let's give them more and more rights slowly. Let's let them have education. Let's let them ride horses. Let's let them have their own business. Let's let them live in these areas. Let's slowly start taking out the rules that you're using to restrict them. And of course, you had the ultra right wing white people who were like, no, 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 you need to go the other way. You need to subjugate them even further. You need to castrate them even. That was insane. No. Emancipation. If I was in the Israeli position, what I would say is, look, if we have 30 days no rockets, we're going to give you this benefit. If we have 60 days no rockets, you guys are going to graduate to this next benefit, and so on, until you get full emancipation. You can have full emancipation by this date. I will pick a day. Full voting rights by this day. Let's keep the peace. Because here's the thing. Imagine tomorrow they hit a light switch and they're like, okay, fully free. The Israelis would be panicking. They'd be like, hey, they're going to come and they're going to kill us. They would create a revolt. There would be unforeseeable consequences. You'd have rebellions people would rebel against the Israeli government. People would riot in the streets. Who knows what can happen? Who knows? Maybe there's an assassination. Maybe all chaos breaks loose. You don't want that. What you want is a slow emancipation. A realization that Palestinians have a right to return. Their homes were stolen from them. The admission of reparations. The children, the ancestors have to return or receive reparations, money, land, something. Because don't forget, the Palestinians go back at least 1,200 years. 1,200 years. Like, you can't say they don't belong there. And if you do, listen, if anybody out there debates whether they belong there or not, let's do a DNA test. A DNA test doesn't tell you, people think it tells you race. DNA test only tells you what region you're from. Race is a construct. What region are you from? Where do you hail from? I guarantee you, I'll put up anytime DNA test. Let's go in that region. Let's see if the Palestinians come from that region. I will bet. I'm not a betting man. Okay, it's haram to bet. It's forbidden. But I'm so ultra confident that you're going to see that they come exactly from this area. Call them Jordanians, call them Palestinians, call them Lebanese, call them whatever you want. They come from that region. I don't care the label you use. Now, a lot of the people in Israel, you're going to see it don't come from that region. Now, I accept that they have a cultural, they might not have the DNA, but they have a cultural connection to that land. So I accept that. Why? Because the Muslims, we always return the Jews back to that land. We accept that. The Muslim, in the Quran, we accept that. It's not a question. Even though your DNA might have been mixed over the years and you're not necessarily genetically from there, we still accept that you belong there. If you're Jewish, you're associated. If you identify as Jewish, we want you there. You belong there. Yes, but you have to buy and immigrate. You have to live by the law like everybody else. It's the stealing and the murdering that we don't accept. It's not that you living there, because Muslims and Jews, we get along very well. We have a very similar religion. Very similar. What up, Coach? Do you like Berimbolo and MMA? That's from Saul Ventura. I won't say it's impossible, but it's a low on the list of important stuff to learn. So because there's so much to learn, you probably never get to Berimbolo. Miss my super chats from Adam Rogers. What are your thoughts on surgeries for bulging disc hitting my nerve? I can't walk sometimes. I did a bad lift wrestling and it re-injured 4 or 5 times. That's from Adam Rogers. I believe in spinal decompression. Okay, get strong and stable back, strong and stable neck. Do spinal decompression. I don't believe in disc surgery. I'm quoting Stuart McGill, back expert. I've grandfathered this question, but believe me, get strong and stable back, get strong and stable neck, and give yourself at least 6 months with the program. Okay, why? Because anything over 6 months, then you should go see physio and a therapist. And I would tell you, consult Stuart McGill. And I'm sure he's going to tell you, don't do surgery. He says, don't do surgery unless it's a life-threatening injury. Like, he's not a believer in surgery. All right, guys, don't forget, I'm always doing super chats and non-super chats. DNA test is illegal in Israel, Coach. That's from TN. Yes, you need a doctor's note. You need a good reason. But like those 23andMe type tests where you order it online, they don't let them in the country. No. So why? Because They're going to find out they're more from Poland, they're more from here, they're more from there, they're more from Europe. So it's going to kind of kill the culture they're trying to breed. You know, like, oh, there's this couscous, that's ours. The hummus is ours. No, it's not. This is like not from, it's kind of like, it's kind of going to kill a little bit. But I agree that they have a cultural tie, a religious tie. But if you're atheist, then you're not Jewish. In my opinion, you can't be an atheist Jew. I don't believe that's true. I know a lot of people say, no, Judaism, you don't have to believe in God. I totally disagree with that. Guys, I totally disagree. I mean, you can have your definition, I have mine. Some people say, oh, Judaism is not a religion. It's a people, it's a culture, I don't agree. I think Judaism is a religion. What's the law? What's the commandment? What's the first commandment? Thou shalt not worship any other God than Hashem. That's a religion, folks. Okay, now you can tell me, oh, there's that. I don't agree. I just don't agree with you. I think Judaism is a religion. I'm not crazy. I don't think I'm crazy to say that. It's a religion. It talks about morality. Morality can only come from religion. It cannot come from logic or science. It cannot. You're talking about a God. The whole book is about God. Like, it's insane. They try to say it's not a religion. People used to argue about if slavery was okay. All the big news people wanted to hear from the pro-slavery celebrity. What? All the big news people wanted to hear from pro-slavery celebrity. That's from Eric. Eric, you're trying to say there was a lot of celebrities at the time who were pro-slavery and trying to push the narrative? Yeah, it was. And now look, their ancestors want to deny that they are associated with him. Coach, do you think practicing martial arts is beneficial even if you don't compete professionally? If so, why? That's from Jat D. Well, look, I'll tell you something. Every man should know how to defend himself and his family. That's number one. Two, it keeps you in great shape. It's the best way to stay flexible, strong, athletic. It keeps you super healthy. And you're learning a skill, so it's fun. Coach, should every man out there only get married when they get their blue belts? Make men great again. That's from the Nomadic Layman. Well, you know, I highly recommend the blue belt, but I don't think it's a must. You know, some people just can't get the time to train, but I definitely think it's something that in our day and age, everybody should get. In our day and age. Now, jiu-jitsu's everywhere. There's no excuse. Okay, guys, 73% of you are asking for jiu-jitsu classes go monthly. I might very much consider putting Juji Club monthly, but it wouldn't be the curriculums. It would be you're sitting in TriStar Gym watching me teach, and you're getting updates every second, third week. You're getting like 10, 20 lessons, and it's very sophisticated, powerful jiu-jitsu and wrestling. Debate Gad Salad. Why would I debate Gad Sad? Debate Gad Sad is just going to be like, it's not going to be, I don't know. I mean, you have to pick a topic and I have to have the time to do it. But I'm just not really interested to talk to, you know, I don't have the time. That's the honest truth. We're both in Montreal. If it ever so happened we had a dialogue, I would participate. However, I'm not going to run after him, schedule it, and prepare for it. That's for sure. You underestimate how much free time I have. Coach, I'm late. Did you hear about Ilya fighting for a title in UFC 317? That's from Yahya. Is he fighting Islam Makhachev? Is Makhachev in? Because that would be crazy exciting. Paddy versus Armin. That's from Logan. Right now, I think I would pick Armin, but that's a tough fight for both of them. 5-round main event, of course. It must be a 5-round main event. Jewish by heritage and not by faith. That's from Old Man Dave. Well, that makes you, in my opinion, makes you a defector. Because look at the story of Moses, okay? Now, you can't say Moses wasn't, you know, a central figure. He's the central figure of the Torah. He brings you the Torah. And when Moses, if you read the Torah, I've read the whole thing. I'll tell you, I read like 90% of it, okay? when Moses goes up to get the 10 Commandments, and he comes down off the mountain. He's up there 40 days. He sees the tribe of Israel now worshiping a golden calf. Some of them have defected from their religion. They're no longer practicing his religion. Question to the class: what does Moses do? What does Moses do? Well, he gathers up a posse, and he goes from one side of the camp to the other, and he kills 3,000 Israeli. 3,000. He kills the defectors. Why? They went into a covenant with God. They made a deal with God that they would forever worship only him and no other God. They broke the covenant. They became something else, secular or whatnot. What do you think Moses would do? Because you're saying, look, I don't agree with Moses, but that's Moses' movement. It's like saying you don't agree with his beliefs. Well, that's what Judaism is. Judaism is you follow the tribe of Judah. You follow Judah. Well, who gave you Judah? It comes from Moses. You're saying, look, I don't follow Moses. I don't believe in Moses. Well, you don't believe in his movement then. You can't just be culturally. You can claim that, but to us, you're a defector. You're atheist. You're trying to appropriate Moses' movement. That's what you are. You're keeping the label, but you don't really believe in anything. So to us, it's just like, you're nothing. You're just like, you don't understand what Judaism is. You could be culturally Jewish, but that to me is not really Jewish. That's how I feel. Look, you can have your own definition of what Judaism is, and I have my definition. I think when something says, hey, if you want to be one of us, here's the number one rule. You have to believe in God. That's rule number one, literally. And then you say, okay, I want to be part of the club, but I don't want the rule. Well, that's not how we define our club. You want to appropriate it. I just find it like, why not just say you're a secularist? Just like you are a Christian or Muslim, but do you not believe in God? Of course, Judaism is a religion. Yes, Judaism is a religion. My opinion. I might sound crazy to some of you out there, but then what can I say? I think it makes total sense. Coach, best advice you got after a loss/combat. Coach, best advice you got. Just from Joshua, I would say, look, you got to look at it as one chapter, not the whole book. That's not the end of your journey. You got to keep going forward and turn that negative into a positive. What can come good of it, of that loss? It's going to motivate you. It's going to push you to the next level. Sometimes I see a fight. One guy's like 10-0, and the other guy's like, I don't know, like 10-3, and you automatically think, oh, the guy with clean records should win. Those 3 losses, man. He might have grown from that. He might have got a beating, and that beating like made him tough. He's seen bad. He's seen the bad, the ugly, and it made him tough inside and made him realize he doesn't want another loss. And that chip on his shoulder. And then you see a fight between a guy with a perfect record and a guy with, like, say, a few blemishes. And the fight gets ugly for both of them. And you see the guy with the blemishes. He shines. He's felt the pain. He's been in dogfights before, where the other guy, maybe he's walked over those 10 opponents. He was head and shoulders above, and today's the first day he's in a real adversity. Well, you can know that guy with the 3 losses sometimes, because he felt the pain of the loss and he doesn't want to feel it again. He's in the mindset, no, I see it going that way, I refuse. He goes to another level in his mind. Sometimes those losses can propel you into a big win in the future. It's all about trying to find the positive. I like that girl, Ben Shapiro. That's from Old Man Dave. I don't know what you mean by that, but are you trying to say that Ben Shapiro is a girl? Not sure what you mean. For some people, religion is everything, or a kind of mental discipline is very important. That's from Eric. Eric, I don't know what you mean by that exactly, but that's super interesting. Talal Mohammed, $2, says UFC 315. Thank you, Talal. You're a gentleman and a scholar, but I don't know what you mean by that exactly. Guys, don't forget to punch in promo code GET50 off and get 50% off anything on jujiclub.com. I'm maybe going to be putting some of Juji Clubs like monthly. Not the lessons. The lessons are going to still be for sale, but the next video I'm going to be shooting is Triangle Choke Escapes. I'm going to probably be filming that this weekend, how to escape the triangle choke. Super important stuff. For us, my hands and wrists are abnormally small. Do that mean I can fight? That's from Sager. Sager, I'll tell you something. Hitting the bag every day will give you meat hooks. Okay, it'll make your bones bigger in your hands. Okay, it'll make them thicker. Look at these meat hooks. Look, you don't want me to grab you one of these. Okay, a lot of gripping. It won't make your fingers longer, but it'll make your thicker. Okay, it'll make you like, look at these paws. I like to hit the bag also with no gloves. I do sometimes bag workout with no gloves. And when my hands start to hurt, I put the glove on. I don't like to baby my hands too much. Okay, it made my fingers thicker, bigger. For sure, my hands got stronger too. Every day I'm grabbing, wrestling. It's gonna make your bones thicker. Okay, so you want impact on the bone. You want to punch. It'll make your hands stronger. So you can strengthen the hand. There's no doubt about it. Shiz Akhmedov. Shiz, my boy. Sub coach, what are your thoughts about hip hop star Kanye West? He is supporting Nazis and admitting he hates Jews, probably in his social media. Is anyone else aware of this? It's 2025. Racism ended a long time ago. That's from Shiz. Shiz, I totally agree with you. It's disgusting. I've heard him rant. It's disgusting. Racism, I hope, is going to die one day. It's disgusting. It's despicable. But I also think he's lost his mind. Like he's on medication or he's off medication or something's wrong. The man needs professional help. I don't think he's there. He said one time, I heard him on a rant years ago. He's like, slavery was a choice. Slavery was a choice. Like, are you insane? Yes, the answer is yes. The guy's insane. Okay, so I saw him one time also like on a show where he had like a zipper on. Like it was crazy. He had a whole face mask on. And it was on the, what's his name show, the crazy guy there. I'm just thinking like people are putting a camera on him because he's famous, but he's lost his mind. The man needs professional help, I think. He needs professional help. Is he training with Goggins? How training to exhaustion and throwing up is beneficial from fighting? That's from Zuhaib. Zuhaib, I don't know. Honestly, I hope they don't do that. I hope Izzy's too smart for that. If I was working with Goggins, and I'd like to work with Goggins, I would talk to him about, okay, let's do some endurance work, sure. But here's what I want you to work. I'd be like, look, I have to be the head coach. Tell me what your plan is. And then I would kind of edit the plan for him. And I'd say, look, I think this makes sense because we got to save some for wrestling, some for jiu-jitsu. He has this or that tomorrow. I would try to reason with him because I think he could be a very motivational guy. I think if he's a head coach, I don't think that makes sense because he doesn't have experience fighting. And there's a lot to know about prepping a fighter. But if he's part of a team and he's under the umbrella of a head coach, I think he could be very useful. One, he's very motivational. He can get in your ear and you can really kind of boost your training to another level. I think there could be a lot of positive working with an influencer like that. However, if you put him as the head trainer, I think it doesn't make as much sense. And I'd say that with all due respect. The girl with Kanye West is crazy. Well, I hope not, because he's plenty crazy on his own. I just gave my opinion on Goggins. All right, guys, we are 1 hour 36 minutes in. I'm gonna have to end this shortly because it is late. It's almost 12:30 p.m. And Coach, you should do a podcast with Ben Shapiro. You are both super smart people who I think will find some common ground and help a lot of people. That's from Matthew. Matthew, I don't think he's genuinely interested. I want to understand the other side. I do. And I think that I can, because my vision is that they live peacefully together. And if you want democracy, let's do it. You want democracy? I'll call your bluff. I don't think they want democracy. I think they want racial supremacy. I think they're turning the religion to a race and they want racial supremacy. And all they're going to do is want to throw their talking points, their narratives. I don't think they want an honest exchange. So that's why I would hesitate to talk to somebody like that, because they don't want an honest exchange. They just want to like throw their narratives, punch their propaganda, and just trying to like encourage their people. I think a Muslim and a Jewish person who really want peace, they can get it really easily. Really easy. It's super simple. Don't steal, don't lie, don't cheat, don't covet thy neighbor's wife. We worship one God. We share the space together because Muslims, we can pray in the same temple as a Jew. And a Jew can pray in the mosque of a Muslim because we don't have any pictures, we don't have any crosses, we don't have any images. Now, we won't pray in a church. That's the truth. Now, we respect the church. We have churches in Muslim countries that are very old, and we respect their religion. But however, we consider a problem for us to go in their environment. Why? Because we don't agree that any man can be God, both Jew and Muslim. So in terms of sharing a space, timeshare and whatnot, it's very doable between Muslim and Jew. Very doable. And I'll tell you something, when a mosque is being renovated or a temple is being renovated, we do share the space. It does happen. It does happen. Because for us, there's nothing going on that's so objectionable. We can get along. We absolutely can. We have for so long. This is very new. This conflict is very new, and it's about territory and politics, and people turn it into religion. It has nothing to do with religion. Actually, the religion makes it easier for us to get along. Very easy. Much easier. We believe in a lot of the same prophets, and we believe in the same God, and we believe in so much of the same rules, and we both keep kosher, and we both keep halal. We eat kosher. Muslims, we eat kosher. We marry Jewish people, so men can marry Jewish women. So it's not like, oh, we're hot oil and water. No, not far from that. Far from that. We get along with each other. This is more about politics than anything else. Muhammad Khan says, Coach, have you heard about Kanye talking about doing blank with his cousin? Yikes. I won't say the word with yikes. Look, man, that word is not a yeesh. But I don't know. No comment. The guy's not well. He needs help. The man needs help. All right, guys, let's end it on a fun one, please. It's getting late and I got to hit this. I got to go to sleep, my friends. Ian Gary versus Carlos Paredes. Prediction. That's from Vincent. Vincent, I have to go through the footage, but that's a crazy fight. And I got to tell you, Ian Gary's getting the hardest fights, man. He's getting tough fight after tough fight. I was just watching his fight versus MVP. He had a brilliant performance. MVP is a tall order. And it was a very close fight. He almost sub MVP in round 1. Then round 2, MVP was like just tagging him. And then round 3 was looking good for MVP, and Ian Gary rallied, man. He rallied for a takedown, took the back, got on the back, tried to choke him again. Very, very close fight. Ian Gary he has a heart of a winner, man. I'll tell you something. In his fight against Shafkat, he fought like a lion. It was crazy. Both fighters put on an incredible performance. It was just, what a battle. Like, Ian Gary, I think, is a matter of time before he becomes world champion. He's a very talented, and he has a heart of a lion. Now he's fighting Practice. Practice is a tough order. They're just giving him difficult fight after difficult fight. So I got to tell you guys, I can't wait to see that fight. I would have to go through their footage before I give a call, because it's just I feel the heart of Gary can't be underestimated. Shiz, Coach, I didn't like Paddy the Baddy when he got asked, "Will you be champ?" ? I hope so. That's not confidence. How about Khabib's version? When Khabib was asked, he said tomorrow night, and still sell it, guys. Are you saying Paddy answered when Paddy was asked the question, "Are you going to be champion?" He said, "I hope so." Look, I think that might be a humble answer, and that's good, man. It doesn't mean because he said, "I hope so." Like, if you ask me, "Hey, is this guy going to be champion?" I'll say, "I hope so." I would say even inshallah, God willing, I won't say tomorrow it's going to happen. I'm sure Khabib in his head, he was saying inshallah, of course. Well, what I'm trying to say is, like, it's okay to be humble. It's okay to be scared. Doesn't mean you're going to lose the fight. I don't believe that the guy who's going to be like, "Of course I'm going to be champion Easy work, round one. That guy, just because he sounds confident doesn't mean he's going to win. I'm telling you, you guys make too much about what people say before and after fights, especially before fights. Oh, the guy looks confident. He's strutting his stuff. Inside, he's scared. His knees are buckling. He could barely believe he's going to last one round. Like, you don't know what's going on inside somebody's head. People put up a front. Okay? Now, I'll tell you something. Paddy will fight to the end. He's one of those guys. He'll fight to the bitter end. He has that fighting heart. And he very well could become world champion. Very well. Okay, he's a fighter. He's got the skill. He's got the heart. He's got the passion. He will never quit in a fight. You'd have to break him physically. Just because he said, oh, hope so, I don't think that's bad. I think it shows that he understands he's in dangerous territory. Paddy will not be champion. That's from Larry Bird. Well, I beg to differ. I think he can be champion. He's a very dangerous man. Paddy got that dog in him. That's from Herschel. I totally agree, man. That guy's got the dog in him, man. He's ready to fight. That man can fight. He's got the reach. He's got the athleticism. He's got the brains. He's got skills. He's getting better and better. He's very good on the ground. He's very good standing. He's very good everywhere. He throws flying knees. Like, the guy's unpredictable. He's got a heart of a lion. He's got a great chin. He's tough as hell. I mean, the man doesn't quit. And he's got great cardio. He's super great shape. I think he can very well be world champion. All right, guys. Come on, man. Let's end this on a fun one. Don't drag this night on too long. How do you choose your beard lines, coach? Okay, guys. That's the last one. No more super chats, please. Guys, thank you. I will consider putting Jiu-Jitsu Club classes monthly, okay? So, like, it would just basically be like what I'm teaching in class, not the lessons, not the official lessons. Those are going to be regular facilities. Guys, you know what? I never have time to go get my beard done by somebody because it's just too much time. You have to schedule it. You have to sit in the chair for 30 minutes. It's just too much time. So I kind of trim it myself. I'm very amateurish. Sometimes I like mess it up and it drives me nuts. But I got to admit, like, I don't have the patience to kind of like groom it so perfectly. So I kind of just do it quick my own way. And sometimes I just like, you know, like I don't have the patience. So I cut it too short. I cut it too uneven. It's tough, man. I'm telling you something. I wish I had the time once a week or once every 2 weeks to sit down in a barber's chair and get everything trimmed up and lined up because I've done it a few times and I really like it. And it's a skill. And these guys, it's like getting a haircut, man. These guys are amazing. Like, they know how to trim it on one side and, you know, the flyaway hairs, and they put the oil. They make it perfect. But it's a luxury. It's time, guys. For me, it's all about that time. And if I had the time, I would do it. But you know, you guys give me the feeling that I should have a 30 minutes every 2 weeks. You know, just a time to relax. You know, but you know, guys, what can I say? I have a wife, 3 kids, full-time job, grappling program, MMA program, traveling. Just really difficult to do. Okay, guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode. I had fun as always. Please don't forget, check out jiujitsuclub.com. Put on get 55 off and get 55% off absolutely anything. See you all in the next episode. Thank you.